Welcome, my friend. Tonight, we drift into the age of heroes together, manifesting strength, resolve, and quiet peace as you live the conquest of Troy as Agamemnon, High King. So settle in, close your eyes, let your breathing slow, and let me carry you there. You are Agamemnon now. The story is yours. You wake before the light has fully come. The tent is dim and warm around you, a soft cave of wool and shadow, and the first thing you know is the sound of the sea. It never stops out here on the shore of Troy. All night it breathes against the black hulls of your ships, drawing back, returning, drawing back again, patient as a great animal asleep. You lie still and let it fill you. Above you, the ridgepole holds the roof in a long, gentle line. The cloth stirs where the dawn wind finds a gap and cool air slips across your face. You breathe it in. It carries salt and wood smoke gone cold and the faint green smell of the plain beyond the camp. You are the High King of Mycenae, Lord of golden halls far across the water, and yet this morning your whole world is this quiet tent and the slow gray light beginning to fill it. You do not rise yet. There is no need. The camp still sleeps, and a king may take these few breaths for himself before the day claims him. You feel the weight of the blankets, the give of the fleece beneath you, the deep tiredness that has settled into your bones over the long years of this war. It is not a sharp weariness. It is old and familiar, worn smooth like a stone carried in the hand. You have learned to rest inside it. Slowly the tent takes shape. There, on its wooden stand, your bronze cuirass catches the first light, its curved plates the color of dark honey. Your great shield leans beside it. Your spear rests in the corner, its point wrapped in soft leather. These are the tools of command, and this morning they are only shapes in the dimness, quiet and unhurried, waiting as you wait. You let your gaze drift to the doorway. The flap is tied back a little, and through the gap you can see the sky turning from gray to the palest gold. A single gull passes, slow and white, and is gone. The wind moves the cloth again. Somewhere far down the line of tents, a horse shifts and blows out its breath, and then silence returns, soft and complete. You think, without hurry, of Mycenae, of the lion gate and the high stone walls, of the hearth in your Megaron where the fire never dies. It is a long way from here. Sometimes, at this hour, it feels like a dream you once had, but you are here now, on the shore where the fate of kings is being decided, and the thought does not trouble you. It settles over you gently, like the blanket, like the light. Breathe. The sea draws back. Breathe. The sea returns. There is nothing you must do in this moment except be here, warm and whole, a king at rest before his kingdom wakes. The gold in the doorway deepens. The wind is soft. You let your eyes half close, and for a little while longer you simply drift, held between sleep and waking, between night and the coming day, safe in the great quiet of the dawn. The camp is waking now, and you rise with it. You sit up slowly, and the tent breathes around you. You set your bare feet on the woven mat. The floor is cool. You draw a long tunic over your shoulders, soft with much washing, and you tie a belt at your waist, and for now that is enough. A king need not wear his bronze to walk among his own men in the morning. You step to the doorway and untie the flap, and the light comes in gently. Before you, the whole camp lies along the shore, and you stand a moment and take it in. The black ships stretch away in their long rows, hull beside hull, drawn far up the sand, and propped with timbers so the winter storms cannot take them. There are hundreds of them. They came from every corner of the Achaean world, and now they rest here like a second city, a city of wood and rope and shadow at the edge of the sea. Between the ships and the tents, the first fires are being coaxed to life. You watch the thin threads of smoke rise straight into the still air, then bend as the sea wind takes them. The smell reaches you, burning driftwood, barley toasting, the sharp, clean tang of the morning water. Somewhere a man is singing very low to himself as he works, and the sound is soft and tuneless and entirely at peace. You walk out a few steps into the open. The sand is cold and firm beneath your feet. Around you, the great host is stirring the way a forest stirs. No single loud sound, only 1,000 small ones woven together. The murmur of voices, the knock of a wooden bowl, the creak of a ship's timber settling. A dog trots past with its nose down, intent on its own small errands, and pays you no mind at all. Men lift their heads as you pass and greet you quietly. They call you king, they call you lord, and you answer them with a nod, with a hand raised, with a word. These are your people, bronze workers and rowers, spearmen and cooks, princes and herdsmen's sons gathered from Mycenae and Sparta, from Pylos and Ithaca and the rocky isles, all of them here under the one great purpose that brought the ships across the sea. In the morning light, they're simply men, yawning, stretching, warming their hands. You pause by a fire where a young man is stirring a pot of barley porridge. He offers you the ladle without a word, and you taste it, and it is warm and plain and good. You nod your thanks, and he flushes with quiet pride, and you move on. Small things. A king is made of 1,000 small things like this, of being seen among his men at the ordinary hour, of sharing the same fire and the same gray dawn. The sun is climbing now, and the sea is turned from gray to a soft and shifting blue. You stand at the center of your great camp, and you feel its slow heartbeat all around you, unhurried, alive. There is a whole day ahead, and duties waiting, and the long wait of the war beyond the tents. But not yet. For now, there is only the murmur of waking men, the smoke rising, the ships at rest, and the sea beyond them holding the light. You breathe it in, and you let it settle you, and you feel, for this quiet moment, that all is as it should be. You leave the fires behind and walk down toward the water. The camp falls away at your back, its murmur softening, and ahead there is only the long sweep of the shore. The sand is dark and packed near the waterline, easy under your feet, and you walk without hurry, the way a man walks when he has nowhere he must be, and something in him that needs the open air. The sea comes to meet you. Each wave slides up the sand in a thin sheet of foam, pauses, and draws back with a soft hiss, leaving the beach gleaming for a moment before the light dries it. You stop where the water can just reach your feet. It rushes over them, cool and startling and clean, then pulls away, and the sand shifts a little beneath your soles as it goes. You stand and let it come and go, and you feel your breathing slow to match it. Gulls turn overhead. They ride the wind without a single beat of their wings, tilting, sliding sideways across the pale sky, and one of them cries out, a lonely wandering sound that the wind carries far down the shore. You lift your face to them. The wind is stronger here at the edge of the sea, steady and full of salt, and it moves through your hair and your tunic and seems to carry away, for a little while, the weight you always seem to hold. You look out across the water. Somewhere far beyond that shining line lies home, the long crossing you made in the black ships, the wine-dark deep, the islands like dark backs of whales. And nearer, only across this narrow water, lies the coast you came from. The sea has carried everything to this shore, the ships, the men, the bronze, the grain, the long, slow years. It gives and it takes. You have learned to respect it, the way you respect the gods, with a bowed head and no argument. A little way along the sand, you find a smooth gray stone, worn round by the sea, and you pick it up and turn it in your palm. It is cool and heavy and perfect, shaped by nothing but patience, by water working on it through more years than any man can count. You hold it a moment, feeling its weight. Then you set it down again, carefully, as if it were something that belonged here and you did not wish to disturb it. The plain of Troy lies inland behind you, and far across it, the great walls stand in the morning haze. You can feel them there without turning, the reason for all of this, patient and unmoved. But here on the shore, you turn your back to them and face the open water instead, and you let yourself simply be a man on a beach at morning, small, beneath the wide sky, listening to the wind. The gulls settle at last on the wet sand a little way off, folding their wings, and the beach grows quiet again, but for the water. You breathe in the salt and the cold and the clean of it. Your shoulders loosen. Whatever the day will ask of you can wait a few more breaths. There's a kind of counsel in the sea, older than any king's, and this morning you let it speak to you without words, and you listen, and you are, for this stretch of empty, shining shore, entirely at peace. By the time the sun stands well above the plain, the kings have gathered in your tent for council. You take your seat, and around you they settle, these men who crossed the sea at your call. The light comes softly through the wool walls, dimmed and gentle, and it lays a warm dusk over everything, even at mid-morning. It is quiet here. Outside, the camp goes about its work, but the sounds come muffled, and inside there's only the low weight of men thinking together. Menelaus sits near you, your brother, red-haired and broad, quieter these days than he once was. It was for his sake, and for a promise kept among many kings, that all of this began, and he knows it, and the knowledge sits gently on him now, worn down, like everything else, by the long years. You catch his eye, and he gives you a small nod, and something old and steady passes between you without a word. Nestor speaks first, as he so often does. He is the oldest of you all, lord of sandy Pylos, and his voice is low and unhurried, full of the memory of other wars and other councils long past. He does not raise it. He does not need to. When Nestor speaks, the others lean in a little, and you find yourself leaning too, letting the old king's words move slowly through the tent like honey poured from a jar. He counsels patience. He counsels care. You have learned the worth of both. Odysseus sits across from you, watchful and still, the lord of Ithaca who sees 3 moves where other men see 1. He says little, but his eyes move from face to face, and when at last he speaks, it is briefly and to the point, and the others grow quiet to hear him. There is a cleverness in him that could be dangerous if it were not bent to the common good, and you are glad always that he is on this side of the seawall and not the other. On the sand at the center of the tent, someone has scratched the shape of the land, the curve of the shore, the line of the ships, the plain, and the walls beyond. You look at it as the others talk, a few lines in the dust, and yet it holds within it the whole shape of your days. A finger points, a voice suggests, another answers. It is slow work, this weighing of one path against another, and there is no glory in it, only the steady labor of men trying to choose well. You listen more than you speak. That is the art of it you have found, to let each voice be heard, to hold them all together in your mind, and only then to lay down the word that binds them. When you do speak, they quiet to hear you, for you are the high king, and the choice in the end is yours to carry. You feel the weight of that, but it does not crush you today. It is only the weight of the cuirass, familiar now, shaped to your shoulders. A cup of watered wine is passed to you, cool and dark, and you drink and pass it on. The talk winds down at last into agreement, or near enough, and the kings rise one by one and clasp your arm and go back out into the light. You remain a moment in the soft dim tent, alone with the map in the sand and the murmur beyond the walls, and you let out a slow breath, and you feel the quiet close gently over the place where all those voices were. As the day turns, you go to make the offering. The altar stands a little apart from the tents, a low platform of rough gray stones stacked by the men's own hands, blackened at the top by many fires. Calchas, the seer, waits for you there, the reader of birds and of the will of the gods, his robe pale in the softening light, his face calm and grave. You come to him with your head already a little bowed, for here you are not the high king, but only a man before the ones who are greater. The fire is small and orange on the altar stone, and Calchas feeds it with dry wood and with fragrant offerings that make the smoke rise sweet. You watch it climb. It goes up straight for a moment, then leans and scatters on the sea wind, and the seer watches the way it moves with quiet, practiced eyes. The gods are near at such a moment. You can feel it in the hush that has come over you, in the way the ordinary sounds of the camp seem to draw back and leave a space around the fire. You lift your hands, palms open, to the darkening sky, the way your fathers taught you, the way kings have always stood before the gods. You call first on Zeus, the Father, Lord of the wide heaven, who watches over kings and oaths and the fates of cities. You ask, not for glory, but for wisdom to choose rightly and strength to carry what must be carried. The words come slow and simple. There is no need to make them fine. The gods hear the heart beneath them. Then you call on gray-eyed Athena, keeper of clear thought and steady counsel, who loves the man who thinks before he strikes. You ask her for the cool head and the seeing eye, for the patience the war has demanded of you for so long. The fire crackles softly as you speak, and a spark leaps up and dies, and the smoke bends again toward the sea, carrying your words out across the water to wherever the gods may hear them. Calchas stands beside you, murmuring the old holy phrases, and now and then he glances at the sky where the birds are wheeling home to roost. You do not ask him what he reads there. Some things a seer keeps until their time, and you have learned not to press him. It is enough to stand together in the firelight, king and seer, and to give the gods their due, and to feel the great uncertainty of the world grow a little smaller and gentler in the doing of it. The offering burns low. The last of the sweet smoke rises and thins, and the fire settles into a bed of glowing coals that pulse softly, brighter as the sky goes dark. You lower your hands at last. The stiffness of the ritual leaves your shoulders, and in its place there is a deep quiet, the particular peace that comes after prayer, when a man has set his cares before something larger than himself and left them there for a while. Calchas meets your eyes and inclines his head, and you return the gesture, and no words are needed. You stand together a moment longer in the fading light, watching the coals breathe. The sea murmurs beyond the tents. The first stars are pricking through the deepening blue overhead. You feel small and steady and unburdened, and you turn at last from the altar and walk slowly back toward the fires of the camp, carrying the quiet with you like a warm coal held close. The heat of midday settles over the camp, and with it comes the hour of rest. You return to your tent, and the light through the wool is soft and golden, and the air inside is warm and still. A simple meal has been set out on the low table: dark bread, a bowl of olives glistening in oil, a handful of figs, a wedge of hard cheese, and a cup of wine mixed with cool water. You sit, and for a while you do nothing but eat, slowly, the way a man eats who has learned that food is a small mercy not to be hurried. The bread is dense and a little sour, still faintly warm from the ashes it was baked in. You tear it and dip it in the oil, and taste the sharp, bright green of the olives. Each fig is soft and sweet, and you eat them one at a time, and between them you sip the wine, and it loosens something in your chest. Out here, far from your halls, a meal like this is a kind of homecoming, plain and honest, the same bread and oil that feed the poorest herdsman and the highest king alike. When you have eaten your fill, you sit back on the piled fleeces and let your eyes rest on the open doorway. Through it, across the wide hazy plain, you can see the walls of Troy. They stand pale and distant in the shimmering midday air, high and proud upon their hill, the great city that has held against you all these long years. From here, they're almost beautiful, quiet, unmoving, softened by the haze, into something more like a dream of a city than a thing of stone. You look at them without anger. That surprises you sometimes, how the years have worn the sharpness from your feelings. Behind those walls are men not so different from your own, and women and children and old kings, all of them living out their days as you live out yours, waking and eating and sleeping under the same sky. The war lies between you like the sea lies between shores, wide and old and slow. But at this hour, in the heat and the quiet, you can look across at the distant city and feel something almost like kinship, two peoples bound together by the long ordeal they share. A fly drones somewhere and settles. The camp has gone quiet all around you. The men too are resting now, sheltering from the sun, dozing in the shade of the ships and the tents. The great host holds its breath in the heat of the day. You feel your own eyes grow heavy, and you do not fight it. There is wisdom in the midday rest. A king who never rests makes poor choices, and there is nothing that cannot wait until the sun leans westward and the air grows cool again. You lie back on the soft fleeces. The light glows amber through the walls of the tent. The distant walls of Troy waver in the heat beyond the doorway, and your eyes half close, and the shape of them softens and blurs. You breathe in the warm smell of wool and wine and sun-baked cloth. Somewhere far off the sea keeps its slow, patient time. Your thoughts drift and loosen and come apart like smoke. And there in the golden hush of midday, full and warm and unhurried, you let yourself sink toward a shallow and peaceful sleep. The whole war held quiet and distant beyond the soft walls of your tent. In the cool of the afternoon, you walk out toward the edge of the plain, past the last of the tents, to where the camp gives way to open ground. Here the earth is trodden and worn, but beyond it, the plain stretches wide and golden, all the way to the far hill where the city stands. The wind moves across it in long, slow waves, bending the tall, dry grass this way and that, and you stand at the edge of it and watch the grass bow and rise, like something breathing. The Scamander winds through the plain, a bright thread of water catching the low sun, curling between its reedy banks. You have crossed it many times and drunk from it, and watered the horses at its edge. It has seen the whole of this long war, the river flowing on the same as ever, indifferent and calm, carrying the melt of far mountains down to the sea. There is comfort in that. The river does not take sides. It only flows. You stand and look toward the distant walls, and you let yourself feel, without flinching, the true shape of this war. It has been long. Season has followed season, and the black ships have grown gray with salt, and boys who came as striplings now wear beards. The siege is not a single storm, but a slow tide, an endless patience on both sides, each waiting on the other, each held here by pride and oath and the will of the gods. It is heavy, that truth, but standing here in the wind, it does not frighten you. It is simply the world as it is. The wind carries the small distant sounds of the plain, the far-off lowing of cattle, the cry of a bird, the whisper of the grass. No clash, no cry of battle, not now. In the golden afternoon, the field of so much struggle lies quiet, almost gentle, and it is hard to hold in your mind that this same ground has known such striving. The land forgets. The grass grows back over everything, green in the spring, gold in the summer, and covers the marks of men as the sea covers the sand. You think of the long watching this war has taught you. So much of a commander's life is not the sharp moment, but the long wait, the standing at the edge of the plain in the wind, the reading of the weather and the light, the patience that is harder than any single deed. You have learned to hold still. You have learned that some things cannot be forced, only waited out, the way a farmer waits for the grain, the way the river waits for the rains. There's a strength in that quiet waiting that the young do not yet understand. The sun sinks lower, and the light turns from gold to deep amber, and the shadows of the grass stems stretch long across the ground. The walls of Troy darken against the paling sky. A single hawk hangs high above the plain, riding the wind, and then folds and slides away toward the hills. You watch it go. The wind moves through your hair and your cloak, steady and cool and clean, and you draw it deep into your chest. For a long while you simply stand there, king and plain and wind and river, and you let the vastness of it hold you. The war is old and slow and larger than any one man, even a high king, and there is a strange peace in knowing that in setting down for a moment the need to master everything and standing small and quiet at the edge of the wide golden plain, watching the grass bow in the wind as the day gently ends. Night comes down over the camp, and the fires bloom against the dark. You walk slowly among them, and everywhere the men are gathered in close, warm circles, their faces lit orange and gold, their voices low and easy. The day's work is done. The heavy bronze is set aside. This is the gentle hour, the hour when the great host becomes, for a while, only a gathering of tired men glad of the fire and one another's company. You stop at the edge of one circle, and they make room for you without fuss, and you sit among them on a folded cloak with the warmth of the flames on your face. The fire crackles and settles, and now and then a knot of wood pops and sends a spray of sparks whirling up into the dark, where they climb and fade among the first stars. You watch them go. There is no sight so old and so comforting as a fire at night, and no company so easy as men who have shared long hardship and have nothing left to prove to one another. Someone begins to sing. It is a low song, half spoken, the kind the men make up as they go, telling of home and of the sea and of the deeds of heroes gone before. The singer's voice is rough but true, and the others listen, and some of them mouth the words they know, and the song winds on into the night. You listen with them. In the song, the hardest things are made bearable, given shape and rhythm, turned from raw grief and toil into something a man can hold and even, somehow, love. A bowl of wine goes slowly round the circle, passed hand to hand, and when it comes to you, you drink and pass it on, and the man beside you nods his thanks. No one speaks much. There is no need. The fire speaks, and the song speaks, and the great soft dark all around speaks in the murmur of 100 other fires up and down the shore. You look out at them, all those small warm lights strung along the beach beneath the vast night sky, and something in your chest goes quiet and full. These are the moments you think that a king remembers, not the councils, not the ceremonies, but this, the fire and the song and the company, the shared bread and the shared silence, the faces of men you have led so long that you know each one the way you know your own hand. Whatever else this war has cost, it has bound you to these men, and them to one another in a way that peace and comfort never could. There is a hard sweetness in that, and you sit with it and let the fire warm you through. The song ends softly, and no one asks for another. The men gaze into the flames, each in his own thoughts, and the fire burns down to a deep glowing bed of coals. Somewhere a man laughs quietly at some small thing, and another answers, and then the easy silence returns. Above you, the sky has filled with stars, thick and bright and cold, wheeling slowly over the sleeping sea. You stay a while longer, not wanting the moment to end, letting the warmth and the low voices and the crackle of the coals hold you. The war is out there still, beyond the ring of firelight, patient and waiting. But here, in this small circle of warmth and men and quiet song, there is nothing to fear and nothing to do but rest. You breathe out slowly, and the fire breathes with you, and the night is deep and kind and long. Late in the night, you rise and step out from your tent, drawn by the great stillness, and you walk to the edge of the camp where the last fires have burned to embers. The host is sleeping now. All up and down the shore the men lie wrapped in their cloaks, and the only sounds are the small ones of the night, the endless soft wash of the sea, the chirr of crickets in the grass beyond the tents, the low murmur of a fire settling, the creak of a ship's timber cooling in the dark. Above you, the sky is enormous. You tip your head back and look up into it, and the stars are past, all counting, scattered thick and bright across the black, so many and so far that the sight of them empties your mind of everything else. There is the great bright river of them arching overhead, and the steady ones the sailors steer by, and the slow wheeling of the whole vault turning through the night as it has turned since long before the first king drew breath. You stand beneath it, small and quiet, and you feel your cares grow small beneath it too. The night watch is set, and here and there along the line you can see a dark, still figure standing guard, spear in hand, wrapped against the cool. You do not disturb them. It is enough to know they are there, keeping their patient vigil while the camp sleeps, as men have kept watch through the long nights of every siege since the world began. There is an old comfort in it, the knowledge that even in the deep of the night, someone stands awake and watchful, so that the rest may sleep. The air is cool and clean, and it smells of the sea and of wood smoke and of the dew settling on the grass. You draw it deep into your chest. The weariness is still in you, but out here beneath the stars, it feels lighter, almost sweet, the good tiredness of a long day honestly spent. You think of nothing in particular. The great worries that fill your daylight hours have loosened their grip, and your mind drifts easy and slow, like a boat let out on a calm, dark sea. You look out across the water. The Aegean lies black and vast beneath the stars, its surface catching here and there a faint silver gleam where the light of the sky touches it. Somewhere out there the paths of the sailors run, and the islands sleep, and beyond them, far beyond, the halls of home stand dark and waiting. It is all held together, you think, under this one great sky, the camp and the sea and the distant city and the far-off home, all of it turning slowly through the same quiet night. A cricket sings close by, then falls silent, then sings again. The embers of the nearest fire pulse softly, red going to gray. The watch figure at the line shifts his weight and is still. And you stand there in the midst of it all, the High King, awake in the sleeping world, and you feel a peace so deep and so complete that it is almost like prayer. There is nothing to fear here. There is only the night, and the stars, and the sea, and the slow, safe breathing of the sleeping host all around you. You stay until the cool has settled into you and your eyes grow heavy, and then you turn back toward your tent, unhurried, carrying the great calm of the night with you. Behind you, the stars wheel on, patient and bright, keeping their own long watch over the shore. There comes, in the deep of this night, a turning. You feel it before you can name it, the way a sailor feels the change of the wind before it fills the sail. Something in the long war has shifted at last, some balance tipped, and you sit alone in your tent by the light of a single low lamp, and let the knowledge come to you slowly, without triumph, without noise, in the quiet where such great things are best received. The lamp burns steady on its stand, a small warm flame, and it throws a soft gold light across the tent and lays long shadows in the corners. Your bronze armor gleams dully in the dimness. You sit very still. Outside, the camp sleeps on, unknowing, and the sea keeps its patient time, and the moment settles over you gently, the way snow settles, the way dusk comes down, the sense that the years of waiting are drawing at last toward their end, that the long ordeal is turning at last toward its close. You had thought once that such a moment would fill you with fierce joy, but it does not. What you feel instead is something quieter and deeper and harder to name, a solemn stillness close to sorrow, the way a man feels at the end of any long and difficult road. So much has been given to this, so many seasons, so much labor, so many faces, now only memories. The turning of the war does not undo any of that. It only sets a shape on it at last and lets you begin, for the first time in years, to look beyond it. You think of all the men who have shared this with you, sleeping now in their rows along the shore. You think of Menelaus, your brother, and of the promise that began it all, so long ago that it feels like another life. You think of the walls of Troy across the plain, and of the people within them, and even now, even at the turning, you feel no cruelty toward them, only the same old weary kinship, two peoples worn down together by the long wait of the years. Whatever comes, it will be a solemn thing, not a glad one, and you find you are grateful to know that in your heart before it comes. The flame flickers as a breath of night air finds the tent and rights itself and burns on. You watch it. There is a lesson in a flame, you think, how it gives its light steadily without hurry until its oil is spent and then goes gently out. A king should be like that, to hold steady through the long dark, to give what light he can, and when his time turns, to meet it with a quiet heart. You feel the truth of it settle into you, and it brings you not fear, but a strange and gentle calm. You draw a long, slow breath and let it out. The great weight that has ridden your shoulders for so many years does not lift entirely. It never will, not truly, but it eases, it shifts, it becomes something you can carry more lightly now that you can see, far off, the place where it will finally be set down. The war is turning, the end is coming, and you sit alone in the soft lamplight and receive it the way you would receive any solemn gift, with bowed head and open hands and a quiet, grateful heart. The lamp burns low, the shadows deepen and soften, and you sit on in the stillness, unhurried at peace, letting the great turning of the war move through you, slow and calm as the tide, until at last your eyes grow heavy and the flame is only a small, warm blur in the gathering dark. At the close of it all, you walk down once more to the shore, and you stand at the edge of the sea in the last light of the day. There is a great hush over everything now, the deep quiet that comes after a long striving has ended, when the noise has died away and something vast and gentle rushes in to fill the silence. You stand very still and let it fill you too. The sky above the sea is turning through its evening colors, soft rose along the horizon, deepening to violet overhead, and the first pale star trembling in the east. The sea lies almost still, hardly breathing, a wide sheet of shifting silver that catches the last of the light and holds it. The black ships stand in their long rows behind you, their shapes dark against the glowing sky, at rest as they have rested through all the seasons of the war. Soon, you know, they will carry you home across that water, but not yet, for now there is only this, the shore and the dusk and the quiet. The conquest is complete, and yet you feel no wish to shout it or to raise your fists to the sky. What you feel instead, standing here in the hush, is something closer to reverence, close to morning, a solemn and tender gravity, as though you stood at the edge not only of the sea, but of something far greater, the whole long weight of what has passed. So much has been won, and so much spent to win it, and here at the end, the two are so woven together that you cannot feel the one without the other. You bow your head. It seems the only fitting thing. The wind comes soft off the water, cool and steady, and it moves through your cloak and your hair, and it carries the clean smell of the sea and faintly the smell of the land, of grass and earth and smoke. You breathe it in. Down the shore a few gulls are settling for the night, folding their wings, going quiet one by one. The waves come in slow and low and easy, sliding up the sand and drawing back with a long, soft sigh. Come and go, come and go. The oldest rhythm in the world, and the most soothing, and it holds you now as it held you at the very first dawn of all these days. You think of home, and the thought no longer feels like a distant dream, but like a road opening before you at last. The crossing, the islands, the harbor, the high walls, and the lion gate, and the hearth fire that never dies. You will stand in your own hall again. You will sleep beneath your own roof. The long years on this shore will become a story told by the fire, and the men who live them will grow old and tell it to their children's children. All of it will pass into memory, soft and golden, the way everything passes at last. But that is for the days to come. Tonight there is only the shore and the silver sea and the great gentle hush, and you standing in the midst of it with a full and quiet heart. The light fades slowly from the water. The star in the east is joined by another and another. The wind sighs low across the sand, and you stand there a long while in the deepening dusk, unhurried, unafraid, letting the peace of the ended day settle over you like a soft, dark cloak until the sea and the sky and the shore have all gone dim and quiet and kind. At last you turn from the shore and walk back through the sleeping camp toward your tent. The fires have all burned low, and the men lie wrapped in their cloaks, and the great host breathes slow and deep in the dark all around you. You move quietly among them, in no hurry, letting the peace of the night carry you along. The sea murmurs at your back, the stars wheel overhead, and ahead the soft glow of a single lamp shows you the way home to your rest. You lift the flap and step inside, and the tent folds its warmth around you like a familiar embrace. The little lamp burns low on its stand, its flames steady and gold, casting a soft dusk over the piled fleeces and the heavy blankets over the bronze at rest in the corner. You set aside your cloak. You loosen your belt. The day is done, and there is nothing more that it can ask of you, and you feel the last of its weight begin to slip from your shoulders as you stand there in the quiet lamplight. You lie down upon the soft, deep fleeces, and you draw the blankets over you, and the warmth of them gathers slowly around your tired body. You let out a long, slow breath. Beneath you, the earth is steady. Around you, the wool holds the warmth and the quiet, and through it all, faint and endless and kind, comes the sound of the sea breathing against the shore, drawing back and returning, drawing back and returning, the same slow rhythm that met you at the very first dawn of this long day. You feel your body grow heavy, limb by limb, sinking softly into the fleeces. Your feet that carried you along the shore and across the plain go still and warm and easy. Your hands that lifted in prayer and held the wine cup and rested on the shoulders of your men lie open and loose at your sides. Your shoulders that carried the weight of the war for so long settle at last and let it go. Breathe in, breathe out. There's nothing to hold now. There's only the warmth and the quiet and the slow, soft breathing of the sea. Your thoughts begin to loosen and drift the way smoke drifts and thins and comes apart in still air. The faces of the day float gently through your mind and pass. The fires, the kings in the tent, the plane in the wind, the stars over the sea. They do not trouble you. They come softly and they go softly, growing dimmer, growing farther, until they are only warm shapes in the dark, and then not even that. The lamp burns lower. The gold light softens toward shadow. The tent grows dim and deep and kind. You are Agamemnon, High King, at rest at last upon the shore of the sea, and all is well. The war is turning toward its close. The men sleep safe around you. The gods have had their due, and home lies open across the water, and there is nothing at all that you must do now but rest. Let your breathing slow. Let the warmth take you. Let the sound of the sea carry you down, gentle and slow, into the deep, still country of sleep. Breathe in, breathe out. The lamp flickers softly and burns low, and the darkness gathers close and warm and safe. The sea sighs against the shore, and you drift, unhurried, untroubled, down and down into the soft dark, into rest, into sleep, into peace. Sleep now, my friend, sleep. All is well, and the night is long, and you are safe, and home is waiting. Sleep.